See ya.
From the Hanging with Web Show TV's Bargain Basement Studio in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, it's Pillow Talk with Willow Schuyler.
Will you take me to Winnipeg?
I will, someday. Toronto, Montreal, Quebec, Winnipeg.
Now what's this guy doing up here in Manitoba?
He was holding the map up.
Every salvage mission that's been through this system has disappeared. Even those old pirates out at Winnipeg Drift say it's cursed.
Cursed. Winnipeg's got a great ballet. Have a good time, I swear to God.
Sweet guinea pig of Winnipeg! They've taken over our company!
Balderdash! I never agreed to that!
I should have stayed in Winnipeg, you know? I had a nice gallery, 3 paintings in the wall.
Are you kidding? And you look back. Born home, Quebec. Drafted out of the juniors in the 5th round to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Played for a year with the Leafs, then traded to the Winnipeg Jets, then to Calgary, then to Boston.
Wow.
So Winnipeg must get pretty cold up there.
That's it! Back to Winnipeg!
Good evening. Welcome to Willow's Pillow Talk. With me today is the Rising Tide Publication People and Broadcasting Network. Thank you for joining us here on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. I'm excited for you all to meet everybody. Let's start with who's the brains of the outfit? Brian?
Amy, it's got to be Amy.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Okay, I'm the other side of co-conspirator. We'll put it that way. How's that?
Co-conspirator's a good name. That's a good word.
That's my Watergate reference, all you old people. So yes, I'm Brian K. Morris. I'll introduce myself. I am an independent publisher, freelance hybrid author, award-winning playwright, Facebook famous YouTuber, and former mortician's assistant. And not only do I publish regular books and comics, I freelance write for other people. But the reason we're here, friends and neighbors, is because of the network. My show is Nevermind the Furthermore, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, where we have creative conversation and coffee. And on Tuesday nights, we have Clever Title Pending, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, where we talk about creativity and the business behind it. And this week, we are going to have novelist and publisher Lacey Lemke on the show, and it's going to be really exciting. And I'm really glad to be here. Thank you for having us, Willow.
No problem. Thank you for joining me. Carl, how did you get wrangled up into all this?
Well, Ted and I do a cigar show, a cigar appreciation show, and usually once a month. And so you were part of the Rising Tide. Yeah.
And sorry, you and Ted do a show together talking about cigars. And how did you two manage to get together and start that up?
It was community service on my part. I had to. It was, I had to sponsor a senior citizen, so I decided it was Carl. Just kidding. No, I had a crazy idea. We both enjoy some good cigars, and for whatever reason, Carl accepted my invitation to do it. So we did it, and it's been very successful for us. We've had a very good run of it. So, and we don't. It's more so it's to show people what you can enjoy about the hobby. We're not promoting that you smoke for obvious reasons, health concerns and that, but we do it as a just to show the what's the word we're looking for?
The mindset. The
mindset of what cigars are. So that's kind of why we did it. Just to be fun and do something different from publishing and everything else. We wanted to do some type of hobby spot. So
we saw a lot of either high pressure or high loud volume shows, and we said we're not going to do that. We're going to be relaxed,
right?
And that's what we got,
right? And that's what we did. And it's something, like I said, just to keep apart from, just to show you other things that are involved in the creative process versus the creation that you make. So.
And then you meet me, who can barely control the volume of her voice.
That's all good. That's good.
All right.
You're doing great.
Excellent. Joe Dog.
I gotta run, guys. I'll holler at y'all later.
Well, Ted, you host your own podcast as well. I'll come back to you, Joe. I'm sorry. I like listening to your podcast on Brain.
On Anchor.
You're on Anchor.
Thank you.
But it's very, what you set out to do is inspire people, and it does. I'm sorry. I'm having troubles with my brain today.
I joined that club a long time ago. Yeah, don't worry.
Get right in.
What were we talking about?
Exactly. Right.
That's what happens when you get used to waking up at 4 a.m.
That's all good. It's all good.
Okay.
But no, tell me what got you started with doing podcasts.
Well, there's a couple different things. Well, first off, I had a YouTube channel to begin. Ted Davies Artistry. It wasn't Ted Davies Artistry at the time. It was just a general term website that they had, or YouTube channel. But then I started clicking with Brian and getting a little bit more involved with that. And then COVID hit, and I was already like 2 months into my YouTube channel, and I decided, you know what, we should start bringing in more people, start connecting with more people, not just to grow my business, but to grow everybody else's. Because I think that I think that was lacking, and Brian was pretty much the only one doing it. And I thought if I could show people the humanity side of the creator, I think that was going to be a better thing than showing how to sell their goods all the time, if that makes any sense. And that's how I got started with the YouTube channel. The podcasting it's only been like 2 or 3 months now, but the TED Talks have been kind of a normal thing that I do, though, with the YouTube channel. It just kind of meshed into the TED Talks and Inspires podcast. But I wanted something different. I wanted it to be more of just a person talking. If you're listening to him, if you do commute still, just somebody to have a conversation, just to listen to. YouTube, not everybody's on YouTube yet, so I wanted to have something to where if people don't have a YouTube channel or access to it, they can at least get something to inspire them, get them to the point where they're doing something that they want to, and creatively. So they're not feeling that they're stuck or they have to join another social media thing, which I think YouTube is just the essential now. But that's basically why I did. And I wanted to have some other topics and things that I do handle between YouTube and podcasting. They're two different things. So, but they're always TED Talks,
And they're great. It's like your voice carries very well with the podcast stuff, and it's great.
I have a face for podcasting. Yes, what I've heard. So it's good. Thank you.
I used to say that all the time about radio, but they never hired me. So, so now I'm doing this. Joe Dog. You have several different shows that you do. You have Stupid O'Clock. You do the armchair rocket science stuff. How did that all come about?
Actually, Stupid O'Clock is a brand that I started back 2008, 2009 on Blog Talk Radio with my paranormal group. We would do a show from 11 until about 1 a.m. And at 1 a.m., you've got a bunch, and we wouldn't do it remotely. I've got a office building in the backyard. It's one of those storage sheds that I converted into a Superman cave. It had high-speed internet, cable TV, refrigerator. We had a sofa. I had movie theater seats, all that, and that's where we hung out to do our paranormal show. Then after the paranormal show, we hung around and talked, and it was such great fun that we actually rolled it into its own separate show on Blog Talk. And, once the paranormal group broke up, Stupid O'Clock went away. Then I went, probably early 2014, 2015. A network begged me to come work for them. Well, they didn't beg me. They offered me a time slot. And I started a show called Southern Fried Trainwreck on that station.
That's a great name.
And that went for about a year, and my computer and working that is almost like what we're doing here with StreamYard. I actually had control of the station. I would interrupt their music broadcast and control everything. It was a nightmare of patches, but I made it work. And I was actually taking phone calls.
Oh, neat.
It was a train wreck.
Yeah, it was a train wreck. And my opening sound is my opening part started, it started playing music. Then all of a sudden you hear crash, and then you hear a plate spinning. That was the opening thing. And then I ended the show with I'm going to shoot you in the ass with a BB gun by Roger Allen Wade.
Wow.
Yeah.
And right at the end of that, you hear Daffy Duck jump in there. No, not the real one, not the real one. Too late. And that was the end of the show.
Cool.
I feel like we need to bring that back.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the files. It's on a hard drive somewhere. That computer, like I said, the reason I quit that one was the computer pretty much died on me, and I couldn't. I was working everything off an old ancient computer up until a few years ago, and a laptop. But then when we discovered StreamYard, is what you're trying to get to. StreamYard is I made my first broadcast on April 4th with StreamYard. And that's when, if people familiar with StreamYard, they have a free option where they give you 20 hours. Our first show involved Skunk Rocker, John Scarborough, Dan, and myself. It went 4.5 hours long.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And, and then it just picked up. And then on April 12th, we had tornadoes rip through my town of Chattanooga, Tennessee. So where it ripped and tore through, I knew a lot of people, the only thing they had working was their cell phone and Facebook. So I piped in the local news and broadcast it through StreamYard on Facebook.
Oh, wow.
Cool. And that's where Lewis Lee came in.
Okay.
And, we've just grown it up from there. And the rockets is because I've been a fan of SpaceX ever since they started. That's a great story in itself. But once they started the big rocket down in Texas, and I thought, well, I'll just stream this one. And the first one I ever streamed was the one that blew up on the pad.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And my comment was, well, shit.
What else is there to say?
And then, it's pretty much grown from there. Oh, and by the way, the reason I'm involved with the Rising Tide Network is Christian Basil's fault.
Okay.
He shared the show in the middle of the pandemic. I dropped in to Nevermind the Furthermore. I was hooked.
Yeah, that's pretty much how we all got hooked. Amy, how did you get tied in with the Rising Tide?
Well, let's see. So, as far as broadcasting goes, I have a readers group called Hales Angels, and we're currently a little over 300 members. And John and I were doing a weekly, it's like a weekly video chat with the members of the group, letting them ask questions about my work, because I write fiction, mostly paranormal. I also have like some rom-com and I'm writing my first thriller. And so we would pop in with them, let them talk, ask us questions, and just generally have fun. And then it kind of morphed into this little show called Book, Booze, and a Hail of a Conversation, where John and I would have a drink. Sometimes by the end of the show, we were pretty hammered, but we had a lot of fun. And of course, the readers loved it. Then I started bringing on guests. I think Brian was one of my first guests for that one as well.
Yeah.
And, we were doing it in this private group. And then we got to talking about it and thought, if we're going to interview people, we really need to make sure they have a bigger audience. So we talked about it and decided, let's keep the books and booze stuff in the private group. And then we'll do a little more professional show, as professional as we can get. And we titled it Creative as Hail, where we interview creatives from all different types of work. So we started it last year. Unfortunately, pandemic hit. We had a bunch of personal stuff happen. We had a move. We had all this stuff going on. And so we only actually got 2 episodes out last year before things kind of went nuts. But we did interview 2 actors. We have on the roster this year authors, actors, musicians, artists. So we got a pretty good lineup going this year. We're really excited about it.
Okay.
But like I said, our first one is going to be February 4th. That's a Thursday at, wow, I don't even know what time. What did I say? 7 p.m. Central?
8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. I have it written down.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Anyway, so that's our restart for this year with Brian as our first guest, and I don't know. We're looking forward to getting back into it. We have a lot of fun. It's pretty casual, although we try to be as professional as possible. But considering the people are involved, there's only so much we can do.
Sure. You guys have seen my show, right?
You just go with who you are, right?
There is no professionalism at all here.
Yeah, we even have can you reach those? We have these things that we use in our group that we'll be using as well, but we have censored.
Oh, nice.
We have things we want to say. Yes, we have all these little signs that we hold up.
Yeah, I love that one. That's a great one.
Yeah, that'll get a lot of exercise when I'm on.
Yeah, so cool. Yeah, so we have all these, WTF and whatnot, and sometimes with being married, we know each other really well. We'll know when the other one's getting ready to say something. We'll bring up that censored sign real fast. Kind of okay. But
you guys don't have to worry about that here because screw it.
Well, in that case, then.
Yeah, right.
Thanks for bringing that up, Brian.
I thought we left that in 2020.
I thought we did too, but he's not going to let it die.
No.
They did not go extinct. No. But yeah, and then Brian contacted me here just really not that long ago and said, "Hey, you want to join the group?" And I'm like, "Absolutely! I need all the help I can get."
There you go.
Michaela's in the chat saying, "Dang, I feel like I'm missing out. All the cool kids are on tonight."
Where?
What
Yeah,
you know?
I was
What?
gonna say.
I'm still not used to being considered cool hair people. I was never.
Neither are we. So you're.
Yeah, the land of
go
misfit
back?
toys. It's good.
There you go.
Can we go back to when nerds weren't cool?
No, I remember those days.
Yeah.
No.
If we can make it cool, then that's even better. That's exactly what we're supposed to be doing. So it's good.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, of course, Nicholas is in the chat as well. Bring up the hashtags, everyone.
Undead Dino porn. That reminds me, Walking Dead will be coming back in a few weeks. Yeah.
That hasn't ended yet.
I already know how it's going to end, and it's going to piss a lot of y'all off.
Okay, first of all, it has already pissed me off.
Yeah.
I've been watching that since day one, and like all the characters that I liked all ended up dying, and it's like that's it. No more choosing favorite characters.
A show called The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
You're surprised that people are, wait for it, dead?
But there are some that aren't. That's the point.
Oh, I missed the point then. I'm sorry.
And it's one of those shows where you pick your favorite bad guys too, and it's like you really want to see them have like the most horrible deaths. It's kind of like the Game of Thrones. You wish for the most horrible deaths on these guys.
Well, all I'm gonna say is remember that episode of Dallas.
Oh, right. True.
Hello, Ryan. Good to see you.
What's going on, Ryan?
Hi.
And then we got Terry, Triceratops. You guys are just encouraging this behavior now.
Yeah.
We're enablers. What can I say?
You guys don't need me to be to
Right,
encourage
there's
this
not a-
behavior.
No, we need an adult here. You're the closest we can get. So
We have to have a designated driver somewhere. So afraid.
I often say I need an adult at work.
I'll be the adultiest adult in the room. That's not.
The thing is, I work with a lot of teeny boppers and like the millennials, and it's like, how is it that I'm like the oldest person here, including my boss?
Oh yeah, well, and I just remembered where you work. So, do you enjoy when somebody comes in and enjoys a large coffee black?
You know what? I don't mind if they order it that way. I'm not that picky, but what gets me is when I get people ordering and making it sound like I'm a moron when I ask them to repeat themselves.
Yeah.
That's a major pet peeve of mine, and I'm just like, and because my personality is now after being abused for so long from my life, I call people out on their shit.
Ice pick. No, you're going to take it this way, and we're going to charge you this much.
Yeah, come on, Willow. You don't know all the newest TikTok drinks? I mean, come on.
Oh my god. So this was the scary thing. Like, I had 3 girls in a row come through my drive-thru ordering the same drink, and they all looked the same. It was like the Children of the Corn had escaped.
That's the only good part about working retail or restaurants. Stories like that, you know.
I mean, we would. It's kind of like you go to. I don't know if you have state fairs, and you don't have state fairs in Canada, but you probably have like a country fair or something, right?
Yeah.
We would actually just go there. And that's one nice thing about retail when we worked it. It's a train wreck. You know, you feel so much better about yourself. It's like going to a state fair sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like I just go just to feel better about myself sometimes. It's like, what the hell happened to you? God, I feel so much better. So use it to your advantage. Make up some crazy story in your mind about those people. You know what I mean? Take it home, write it down, and sell a million copies of it.
I'm redneck through and through. I grew up in the middle of nowhere. The closest store was a mile away, or a couple miles away. You'd either have to, wait till your parents got home to drive you to the store, or or you bike. But yeah, it's I even lived in a trailer court, so that's me.
Good. That was you. That was you growing up.
That was, yeah.
This is you now. This is you now, broadcaster extraordinaire.
Yeah.
Glorious result.
International star. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I try to be professional.
We gave up years ago.
So, speaking of broadcasters, what was it that was there a particular broadcaster in your life that inspired your careers?
Brian, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I'll take that one. I grew up in an age where, like, disc jockeys were genuine personalities. And a lot of my early radio listening, I lived in East Central Illinois, very close to where Carl lives currently. And we kind of looked at Chicago as a cultural mecca of sorts. And we didn't know about the other 95% of the city, but I would listen to WLS, which in the last 30 years has morphed into an all-talk radio station. But back in my misspent youth, actually, when I first became aware of the station, it was actually country and western. And then in 1960, it turned into a rock and roll station. With some very distinct personalities on every air shift. And it was kind of fun to listen to these guys that were, the evening guy and the morning drive guy had a mock feud going. Then in the afternoon, they had the Silver Dollar Survey. Yeah. But all these guys had like legitimate personalities that you don't get now on a lot of radio. But growing up, and especially Larry Lujak. He was a guy out of Iowa who made his way to Chicago, and after drifting around between a couple stations, he wound up at WLS, and he was called Super Jock. He even trademarked the name, but he was very acerbic. He was kind of like, he was still professional. He still ran a slick show, but he wasn't afraid to, like Willow, call out the BS. And I do remember one person, he would read some of his fan mail on the air, and one was a guy had said that all of Lujak's brains were where he sat, and Lujak on the air said, "Well, I probably have more brains back there than you have behind your face, and it looks better." And I thought, I found my role model.
Nice.
And so, and I think the real thing to take away from it is be real, be yourself on this thing, and that's why my shows kind of evolved to what they are now. It's like I tell people that the original episode of what became Nevermind the Furthermore was going to be just me talking about my colossal ego and all the books I wrote, and I got bored as hell after about 5 minutes. Then I started reading the comments, and that was interesting, so we stuck with that.
Okay.
And it's like although I talk a lot about me, not me, that I put out a personality that isn't quite me, like for the next 60 minutes, I'm going to try not to swear as much as I normally do.
You know what? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about that.
Now you tell me. Why did they like reading on this stuff? So anyway, but no, you have to let a certain amount of yourself through, and a lot of people recognize this, and I am hopefully, for the most part, pretty optimistic. I definitely want this world and the people in it to be better than a lot of them are, but then I see a lot of people who are doing the right thing for the right reasons, like the people in this studio right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I decided that that if nothing else, we have a home on my show, and that's where I'm, except for Amy and John, it's that's pretty much where I've met everyone here. Amy and John and I know each other from real life, from a a convention we did in Cape Girardeau mostly, where my wife, oh God,
Memories, huh?
Oh God, yes. My wife, well, Amy, you want to tell the story or should I? Go ahead.
You can tell it if you want to. I mean, it is your wife you're talking about.
Let me hit record here. Go ahead.
Yeah, you do that. Cookie knows the story too. But anyway, my wife Cookie, we were opposite Amy, and we got to know John. We got to know each other at the Cape Con in Cape Girardeau 4 or 5 years ago. And at one point, of course, I'm working because I am just ever so professional behind the counter. And Amy, she was jubilant. And Cookie is like, "Well, how you doing over there?" And Amy said, "I just sold out of one of my books. This is great." And my wife looked at her, big smile, and said, "That's great, bitch." And of course,
wow.
Over there.
She also added, though, "I'm so effing happy for you."
That's true.
Wow.
With a grin like this. I'm so effing happy for you.
That's my darling. But the thing is, nobody told me for about 2 months.
Wow.
And I think Amy mentioned it when we were talking online one day. I'm like, Cookie did what? She's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's like, no.
I was like, no, it's hilarious.
Yeah, Cookie laughed when I said, honey, you didn't tell me about that. Oh, yeah, I called Amy a bitch.
Wow. Well, that's a way to break the ice. That's good.
That's
my
wife.
wife would have handled that so much differently. She'd have looked at her and smiled and go, "Well, bless your heart."
Yeah.
We had known Chris and Brian for 2 or 3 years at this point. So, we were good friends. So, I wasn't about to take it badly. But it was just so funny because I've got this, Cookie's always been so quiet. And even as well as I know her, I've never known her to really say a lot of cursing or whatever. And then just out of nowhere, she's just like
smack. That's awesome.
She makes a count. She makes obscenity count, whereas I've almost blunted it with my overuse of it. So
I may have met Brian in person before I saw his show too.
That's true. We kept running it kind of like parallel to each other.
At authors fairs and such. And I was doing a comedy show at the time online here, and I would wear the funniest hat I had at the house, which I started out with the fez, and so people got used to the fez and the cigar. And we went to an author's fair, and Donna, my wife, says, "There's a guy over there. He's wearing your fez." I'm like, "What? He's stealing my shtick, man! I'm gonna go over and have a talk to that guy." I didn't, but then we met again, and I was like, "Oh, you got a show, huh? Okay, I'll tune into that."
That's how
that started.
we had a bunch of people in Detroit that were like DJs and that, or they would play not simulcast. I guess it was, but like Dr. Demento was a big one when I was a kid. I would play that back. I would tape them. I'm showing my age here, but we would tape them on Sunday nights. It was like at 11 o'clock. Nerd living. And anyway, it was awesome though. And that was a Wolfman Jack was another one, during that era, and then it's going to sound really cheesy, but Casey Kasem, because he was from Detroit, he's from Flint.
Yes.
And Sundays was always, or whatever it was, Saturday, Casey Kasem top 40, whatever it was. Yeah. And I always, knowing his family, Chris grew up not far from where his family lived, and where he grew up actually, kind of neat. So it was kind of the local, star, making it big. But that was, and then we had all these different personalities in Detroit. But that was like Dr. Demento was a huge, huge influence as far as just. But I'll tell you what, and Brian will totally agree with me on this. Who I really, really like now that I like the last few years is Evans from Hot Wings or Hot Ones.
Oh, Chris Evans.
Amazing. That dude is awesome. I mean, that guy interviews like the best. Yeah. He's the best. So yeah, that's modern. That's definitely somebody I not aspire to be, but just enjoy as far as interviewing. But yeah, very, very cool.
Yeah, and it turned out that he graduated from the University of Illinois, and I lived in Champaign for over 30 years. So there is escape from Champaign.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to tell my age too. I remember recording the King Biscuit Flower Hour.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And it broke my heart a few years ago because in my mind, I was listening to those concerts live. Come to find out it was an album. They were on record albums.
Oh.
And when it came time, when they had the commercial break, that was when they were flipping the albums over or putting new album on.
Wow.
Oh, interesting.
And you didn't know the difference. That was just your perception was it was live.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool in a way.
That's good.
You know.
Great show.
They did their job really well then.
Yeah. Huh.
Also on WLS that Brian mentioned, they had a comedy show called The Tooth Fairy, which I used to listen to. It was about a mild-mannered dentist by day, but at night he'd become the Tooth Fairy and try to quash evil. And it was a hilarious comedy thing, and that probably had some bizarre influence on me.
Oh, you and me both. Yeah, that was a great show, and those guys also did a bunch of ads that ran through the Midwest. Nick Morgan and Bert Burtis, and like one story they love telling was they lost a contract with a cemetery out of Cleveland or something like that because they were using their usual irreverent humor, and then they said, "Hey, go see so and so cemetery located 6 feet under Cleveland." And somehow that crossed the line with the owner's toe.
Oh man!
What happened to truth in advertising?
Yeah, I mean that's great. That's great copy. That's nice. Great.
Some people just didn't have a good sense of humor back then, I guess.
Some people still don't.
No, yeah, I'm gonna say. Don't say back then.
Well, I swear it's getting worse though. But no, one of the I remember listening to Casey Kasem. My mom and my aunt had a bigger influence than I realized on me becoming a giant nerd. But we would listen to Casey Kasem. Rick Dees was a huge thing in our household. I remember having that Disco Duck record as a kid, and it's funny how so many people have taken it so serious and actually thought that it was an actual song and a serious song. No, it was a joke, but. And of course there was several local DJs, but one of the major people to influence me was Larry King. Sadly, he passed away yesterday morning, and that broke my heart hearing that. And so I'm hoping that in some way I can emulate his spirit and just do the show the way he has done his shows. And pop culture, he had a huge part in our pop culture history.
Yeah, it's great when you can internalize something from someone you admire, and you take that into yourself and try to memorialize them in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's been an interesting year, especially with that, and just seeing the people that we emulate, if you want to call it that, over the years. They've just been in our lives for so long, and they're starting to go. It's like when Princess Leia. When I can't think of her name right now.
Carrie Fisher.
Thank you. When she passed away, it was devastating. It was like, God, we're for Christmas. And, that whole, I don't know, that's life, I guess. So I think we all, Brian will say when JFK died, and that was, horrific anyway. But there was, I'm just glad that you're identifying, it, because a lot of people just say, oh, another one's gone. That's it. Move on. Yeah. And it's, but yeah, that's.
No, I'm very much the type who's not afraid to show their emotions. Like when Stan Lee died. Oh yeah.
Sure.
I was, broken.
Sure.
Yeah, that crushed me too because I met him on a couple of occasions. So.
Yeah.
I think I'll try to internalize Art Bell.
Art Bell.
There you go. That's what I'm missing out on.
You probably heard George Nuri, who took over his show.
Oh,
yeah.
The bizarre call-in show where
Yeah.
wackos call in and say,
Yeah.
I'm a time traveler from 2255. And you go, yeah, right. Whatever.
I ran into a guy at a show in southeast Illinois a number of years ago who one of those guys that you pray would just find somebody else to talk to.
Oh, one of those. Yeah.
One of those, and it turned out that he used to call like Nori and Bell, all those guys, to make sure they got it all right.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I met that guy at a convention. He tried to tell me his entire book plot.
Oh, I know. Oh.
Yeah, I think you might have.
I think that guy comes down to Chattanooga too.
Yeah.
He gets around. He gets everywhere. Yeah.
I did a show on.
So.
I did a show on YouTube, con etiquette. What not to do when you're at an artist table, when you're coming up to. Don't bring your portfolio to them. Don't tell me about your story. And I said, I mean it utmost respect, but just buy something or just go. I mean, I was kind of blunt, but I was trying to be nice about it. But I'm like, I didn't want to be too hard on some of the younger kids that they're trying. They just don't know the etiquette, and they don't, nobody's showing them the ropes. A lot of the kids don't have that direction in life, So, but yeah,
and Ted, when you're a wacko, you don't realize you're a wacko. So,
my wife's been saying that to me for years. So
I learned that in my psychological career.
Is that your diagnosis?
Yeah. Having a flash of self-realization right now.
And then I'm sure the biggest thing that any vendor would suggest is please don't leave crap on my table.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I love that.
Break down on myself.
Yeah. Oh, I did. Yeah, I had one of those too. That was fun. And this is all pre-COVID, obviously. All of us, everything we're saying is pre-COVID. But
yeah.
Oh, that just reminded me something. That's something that we may actually lose at our tables.
Oh,
he's going to make me a sign for my table that says, "If you tell me your story, I'm going to use it."
Yeah,
I'll stop it.
I have a taser. I will use it. Yeah.
That story's fixing to get really interesting.
So, when you guys have tables, do y'all put out like candy to just get people to stop?
No.
It depends on what kind of event I'm at. Like if I'm at a book event with reading, like say PenCon, where it's just that's what they're there for. I do because they're all going to stop, and it's usually I'm not kidding. Brian can vouch for this. It's usually mostly women, but there are men that are coming more and more with little red wagons full of their purchases, and they go from spot to spot to spot buying up the books. There'll be people that leave this event with 400 or 500 books.
Yeah.
Wow.
They save up all year for this event. And I will set stuff out, and I'll put like my nicer swag out too, because I know these are paying customers.
Yeah.
Where like sometimes like you do one in a mall where people aren't even really there to see you; they just happen to see you sitting there. Sometimes you got to be careful what you put out. If you do put out candy, if you put out chocolate, some kid with the hole, you're gonna have chocolate all over your table.
Yeah. Yep.
Or someone else's table, and they're gonna hate you for handing out chocolate. But I like having mints on the table. Those come in really handy.
Yeah.
I'm going to be leaving rolls of deodorant for the next
One of the things, if we were going to do that, I mean, now it's different, right? Everything's different now, because I don't think I want people diving into, I would always put the same type of, if I did do that, I would always put the same type of mint. I wouldn't have like a assorted, because some of these greasy people get in there and like actually pick out what they want. And I'm like, no, you're going to get tased to do that. That's it. Yeah. I'm going to start doing Ted Taser. I'm going to get Ted Taser Club. That's it. I'm going to start. I think I'm going to start that.
I use the ever famous Lifesavers wintergreen independently packaged mint.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's good.
Okay.
But with the COVID, that makes me.
Those are the ones that spark when you bite them, right? They're like dry rock, right? Those ones.
I just wonder if that's going to be something that goes away at conventions now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably. One of the major conventions here in Winnipeg is usually held around Halloween, and So yeah, candy on tables was a normal thing for us, and yeah, that's probably going to change this year if they even have it.
Yeah. I know that we can't do with Christine's business. We can't do any type of sampling or anything like that anymore. So like we're at the open markets and that, there's no way. It's like you have to take our word for it. It tastes good. Just buy it. That's it. You know. But I think that's going to be our norm. I think that'll be, and that's fine with me. But
yeah, and with the two, I think I did 2 conventions last year. And what I ended up doing was wrapping the books that people could look at.
Yeah. Yep.
So that they weren't actually touching the book.
Yeah. And then you can wipe it off.
Sanitizer. And then if they bought a book, I got a fresh one out from underneath the table.
Oh.
And that's the one that I gave them. Because obviously you can't, sanitize a book cover very easily. But I only had one of each book. We had them covered with like, I don't remember what did we get, like some cellophane wrap or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we just tried to protect them as much as we could. People could still look at them and flip through them.
Right.
But so we tried to make it as safe as possible for the situation.
Sure.
And I imagine we're going to have to do that way for a while. I'm hoping that this isn't a permanent thing.
Yeah.
That in a couple of years things will be in a much better place. But
you really don't know. By the end of the year.
Well, I mean, I think that we're all going to have sanitizer on our tables. I always had, it's always a deal like that. You just got to be careful.
But
there's going to be some type of protocol that we're all going to have nationwide, and that's just going to be the way it is, and that's fine. I have no problem with it. We'll get back to. I don't know if normal is going to be the right word, but I think we'll still have cons. We'll still have events. They might not be as huge as they were. They might not be.
Yeah.
But we'll get there. We'll get there, and it'll still be exciting, and it'll be okay.
I came up with the idea for, you may have just left, Ted. I brought it up in the green room.
Yeah.
That's something that we should start, is going up to a group, or when we go to a convention or whatever, go up to an artist or an author or whatever and buy something from them.
Yeah.
Leave it at the table and tell them, sell it again.
That's interesting. That's a good way to pay it forward. That's a really good way to pay it forward.
I like that.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I think
I think I'm gonna start doing that too. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, if they want to write a receipt for it, they can write a receipt for it, or just slip it into the till and say, hey, how do we come up over?
I think too that with the way that the markets are right now too, is that at least what we're seeing in Michigan, I think in the future, what's probably going to have is they're probably going to have less people in the cons. And I think that the promoters should also reduce the price for us to table, because a lot of them right now, they're still charging you the full amount, and you're already up against the wall because you've got, I don't consider everybody in here, especially competitors. I don't. So I'm not, competing against you guys at all. But I think that if we're already set the stage and we already are behind the 8 ball, we have less of a customer base, and then you got to pay the same amount of money to show your wares.
Yeah.
Or they've got to have something where it's digital. We all have our phones set up. We all have Wi-Fi so that we can sell online while we're at this event, so people can be in their cars or at the, and they could, what I mean? There's got to be some way to do it. But if we've seen anything this last year of what we've been able to accomplish with this format, I mean, really, I'm not really concerned about the con, to be honest with you. There's so much we can do on this,
And Ted, as a convention director and chairman, now that you've mentioned, I've been mulling that over for this year for my convention. I was sort of mulling that over, and I think I might just, don't hold me to it right now, but I may be considering that.
Okay. I think it's a smart move. And
I would back that idea too. You and I should talk.
I would back you up 100% on that. Absolutely.
Are you going to do like a combination live and online convention, or?
I'm working on it. I don't know if you had joined Brian's group by the time I did the virtual Halicon. And after what I saw this weekend from the big Chattanooga convention, what they attempted to call a virtual convention.
Okay.
Is it train wreck? Sorry.
Train
I'm overusing the
wreck,
word. Sorry.
train wreck is not the word.
No.
I mean, I'm sorry. It was horrendous. They tried to do it through Zoom. They couldn't get it to hook to Facebook. They couldn't get it to hook to YouTube. I told them after I did Halicon, I said, I pulled off a successful one. If you want to know how to do it, just get with me. It's going to take about 2 or 3 days to show you how to do everything. I can make it work. They never got back with me.
Of course, you're a competitor now, right?
Yeah. Well, and I will say that Halicon last year was one of the best run virtual shows of all the ones I did, and I'm noted for my aggressive con schedule, in person stuff. And Joe Dog ran probably, I'll put it in my top 3 as far as best shows, best run shows. Something that was extremely different than what other people were doing. And I've seen other people doing something similar, but Joe Dog, as far as I know, pulled it off first. So.
Cool. Very good.
And I tried to, what I'm seeing is an interview show. I try to bring the panel experience to the people. And if it hadn't been, I'm gonna throw all the props to Heather, Blake, John, and Skunk, because a lot of the times while they were doing all that, I was doing this.
Well, you're on. How long? You was on 24 hours, right? Wasn't it like
49 hours?
49, because he had a time change. It was during the time change.
Yeah.
We had to put in an extra hour.
Wow.
Yeah, and he did a great
Crazy.
job.
Well, good. We're learning, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think if nothing else, this whole year has taught us that the old way, there's different ways to do this sort of thing. I think that's one of the reasons that we have had success here with our own shows. That for a while we had a captive audience. Is one thing, and the fact that we're sticking around and still doing, stuff on the air that people are attracted to, and especially with this network here, where we can kind of cross pollinate and point each other to each other's shows. Hopefully, I think virtual is the way to go, because we're still going to be feeling the effects of the Maestro and Miley Cyrus for a long time.
Yeah, I think so too.
After the vaccine gets wide distribution. So.
And that stigma, just I know for me, it's just emotionally. I mean, Carl and I have talked about it. And I know Brian have. Just getting around people, it's a hard thing to you want to be around people, right? So it's kind of like you're kind of in this environment. What we're doing with the broadcasting deal is nice because we're multiplying our viewpoints by everybody else's consumer base. I got 1,000 people here. Brian's got 1,000 people there. Carl, whatever. I mean, that's a full gamut. So now, we're joining forces, if you want to call it that way. But we're promoting each other, and we're diversifying. We're diversifying our whole group. It's a great move. I really think that's the way to do it. I really think it's the only way to do it.
I love being part of this community that you guys have created here. And like you said it, if it, we all met because of one guy, and it, I enjoy tuning into Brian's show. I enjoy tuning into Joe's, just listening to Carl talk. I'm a nerd when it comes to all kinds of things, but I'm a fangirl when it comes to you guys.
It's gonna be awesome too.
It's reciprocated. Well,
and Brian told me to keep track of something, and I actually did it earlier this weekend on my views of the virtual Halicon.
Okay.
YouTube had a total of 300 views for the whole weekend, averaging 32 minutes.
Wow.
Very good. That's very good.
good.
I ran through 3 Facebook groups. One Facebook group had a total of 56 hours watched.
Yeah.
Wow.
That one group had 56 hours watched out of 40 views.
Wow. Okay.
Second group, okay, now let's pull this up. Had 167 views, averaging 45 minutes.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
That's
And
incredible.
then my big page, Halicon, a fantasy and horror convention, had 2,890 views, averaging 2 hours a view.
Wow. That's amazing.
That's great.
And it goes to show you that diversified trifecta, if you want to call it that, with the different viewing platforms. It's awesome. And you multiply that with what we're doing now on all of our, it's crazy. Tens of thousands of views on things that we're doing now, helping each other out. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
That's incredible, Joe. That's awesome.
When I was getting real disappointed when I started with the YouTube, saw how much views I got on YouTube, and then how much I got on the group, then the second page. Then when I hit my main page, 2,890.
Wow.
And the average time that they're watching it. It's not just they're not flipping it on for 2 minutes and then they're off.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's how long you're hanging around this.
Right. Big time.
And each block ran for 4 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exceptional. That's awesome.
Yeah, and also, like something I've started doing, I keep a book of it, in fact, that I log how many views my show gets, like right after it airs, then about 24 hours later. And then I go back and, I've started accepting sponsorship on my shows, and I tell people, it may sound like a little much to be spending money on a show where the guy's just talking to other people and reading comments, but the thing is, people are going back and watching those old shows. Like Amy, for instance, did one of the very first clever title endings when we switched from basically the morning show to an interview format. And I think last time I looked between all the platforms I had the show airing, I think it's well over 1,000 views.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Sure.
Yeah, and then we had one recently with Karen Nicole that's catching up rapidly.
Yeah,
sure.
Everyone's going back to see that one part of Amy's show.
See me leave so I can go pee.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We ended up really using that to our advantage.
We've been merciless.
Everybody says you got to do an Amy Hale yet. On and on. I'm sorry.
But when you think about it,
not into live streaming.
Well, Carl and I came up with the product, the podcast, so that you guys could. So you could, just hook it up. You're good to go. I'm wearing one right now. It's great.
I just need astronaut diapers or whatever. I guess.
Great.
But I brought that up because, see, as people talked about that, other people would say, "What are you talking about?" And you'd say, "Go back and watch this episode," and it has driven people over to watch the episode.
Called
you use what you
Amy. We call it a call to action.
Yeah, call to action.
Call to action.
We are into merchandising.
Okay, I have no problem with that at all.
We've been saying be authentic for years, so go for it, Amy.
There is a new phrasing for when before somebody has to go Amy Hale. It's called "I'm skunking real bad."
Wow.
Let's hope that doesn't take off.
And then
it sounds dirty.
And then the next day or the next episode after Skunk talked about that, I said, "Sorry guys, I was skunking real bad and had to go do Amy Hale."
Oh shit.
Oh Lord.
Okay, now there's 500 more views on that show now.
We thought
I'll check my numbers on
internet
Amy's
famous.
show after I get out of here. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, and another effect also, I've noticed that, like I try to, I'm elderly, and I try to go to the little author's room just before every show, but inevitably, I'll be fine. Ha ha ha! We're having the pre-show. Then okay, we're going live. Then all of a sudden the bladder goes.
Right.
And then I'm sitting here in pain.
Yeah.
Trying to concentrate. So.
Well, Reels and Heels will often go like 3 hours.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
We try very hard not to. Well, at least I try to push them not to go that long, but sometimes depending on what the conversation is. There was one time where I was working. I decided to work Saturday, and I caught the show a little bit on my break. I get off work and they're still talking. I'm like, seriously?
Wow.
I got home and I popped on because they were still chatting. I'm just like, I worked a full 8-hour shift and you guys are still on.
Wow. Yeah, I got it. I'm very respectful of that. Hour and a half tops, Amy, just so that you're aware. I'm very, maybe 2 hours, maybe, but that's pretty.
Yeah, I think the last show I did with Brian was two and a half hours.
Was it?
Yeah, 3.5 hours. Then you and I talked for like about 20 minutes beforehand, and like an hour and a half to 2 hours afterwards.
And I was like, you know what? I don't have to pee yet.
Like you're dehydrated, you haven't drank anything for a week. Right?
Drink all day.
I think we all need to have what Joe Dog has, where a skunk, just kind of interrupts the conversation with.
Sure.
A commercial or a breakaway or B-roll, what they used to call B-roll. Yeah.
We should do we should do that where we've got like a waterfall for like 3 minutes and then everybody's nice and relaxed and we come back.
I will have to go to the bathroom.
We could do that.
What we
totally do that. Have some fun with it. Put Bernie Sanders up on the waterfall. We do all kinds of stuff like that.
Oh my God, I love those memes.
Thank you.
Nice.
That won't affect anybody, will it?
If you've ever noticed during
Let's see it. Yeah.
If you've ever noticed during stupid o'clock, people will drop out and then they'll come back and they'll drop out. We're taking potty breaks.
That's cool.
And the neat thing, the way you can make that happen, and the guy, whoever's in, got control powers, turn off the audio avatars when they turn their camera off.
Yeah.
And it just immediately pulls them off screen. And all they have to do
interesting.
is stop their cam, mute their mic. When they're ready to come back, they just turn the camera back on and turn the mic back on, and they just pop back up on screen.
Okay.
That works.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just something to break it up, or to
make sure.
I'll be back. I'll be back.
Make sure they're muted too. Yeah, please.
I'll just start doing my Steve Martin imitation from, like Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Like,
Yeah. And you just end it with, thank you.
We should maybe, you guys have seen the, what is it? The Tom Hanks movie, The League, the women's baseball league.
League of
Their Own, where he did that morning pee that he had. It was like 2.5 minutes or something. There you go. There's the meme. There you go.
Yeah.
And then there's an Adam Sandler bit from his audio stuff where it's like the world's longest pee, and it goes on for like 20 minutes.
Oh my God.
Austin Powers right out of the morning like that, where I'm like leaning against the wall. And now we're audience to know.
I don't know how we got onto that direction. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Amy, you're internet famous because you're bladder. All right.
You do one little thing. You mention one little thing
out of the ordinary in your.
Well, we did something like that on our humor group. We had a friend who she would curse on Facebook, and her grandmother was on Facebook as well and following her. So her grandmother would say, "Now, Beth, you know better than that," and she'd say, "Sorry, Nana." and that became something we started using on other things, and we started making that part of the show. So when anybody curses on the show that we did, we'd always say, "Oh, sorry, Nana," and that has actually passed into some families now. That when they curse at the dinner table, "Oh, sorry, Nana," they don't even know who's Nana they're apologizing to, but it's
Americana now, right?
Yeah. That's what you want to do. I mean, like Brian Brands with the fez and the bow tie and the sideburns.
Yep.
You pick your branding and you stick with it so that so people recognize those kind of things.
Everything's Ted Davies artistry, fedora, and that's it. You got it.
Yeah.
And those are made by Cindy Kep, right?
Those are awesome.
This was done by Creations by Terry. I got this one at Heroes for Kids Con.
That's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, but I have my plushies, and this one is by Cindy Kep, and I love both of these. And they're adorable. They're far nicer people because the one I put together was.
That's so brilliant.
This was for Santa's time. We had we call him Frank here, and we would take him to our shows, and see, he's staring into your soul now, isn't he? Yeah, but I painted this guy up. I got him at Hobby Lobby, and
okay.
And so, but it got to the point where I got so many books that I was worried about hurting Frank, so we stopped taking him to shows. But now we keep him here.
Mascot,
so,
office mascot. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So, and Carl, I had a thought just now that would make you repulse you about something else we built up about the show about spine licking. I'll spare you with this.
Don't lick Frank, please. No.
Yeah, I figured that.
Wow.
That's like everybody in the audience, probably including me, like some
I've got some footage I could put in, but I won't.
Okay.
So. Talking about the rising tide, though, Brian started that idea. The rising tide, raises all ships, and to use that as a metaphor for our shows, to raise others up.
Right.
And I was wondering because I did a show, I did a class I taught in psychology at our local community college. And one of the chapters we talked about was altruism. Why do people help each other?
Yeah.
And scientists, social scientists at least, have not been able to figure out exactly why we help each other, which is kind of odd.
Really?
I mean, there's all kinds of research been done. Sometimes people do it for selfish reasons, like I'll buy your book if you'll buy mine, or I will watch your show if you watch mine. Okay, that's a trade-off of sorts.
Yeah.
But if you're just being nice to somebody and trying to help them out for no reason other than to help that person out, you like that person, where does that come in? And they cannot figure it out. But I was thinking of my own life, and I have always thought when you treat people badly, okay, they will almost always come back at you and treat you badly too.
Yeah, it's reciprocating. Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So why not take a chance and try to help somebody?
Yeah.
And maybe they will help you, or maybe they'll help somebody else and pay it forward, as they say. Take a chance and try to help somebody else out.
Yeah.
Well, that's a very good observation, Carl. I know that when I was like in high school, I did a number of examinations into other religions because I was kind of questioning my own faith at the time.
Sure.
And I noticed that something popped out, and of all things, I read Anton Sandros LaVey, The Satanic Bible. And he's the guy who started the big Church of Satan on the West Coast. But he has a part in there where he talked about sending positive. Now, Michaela J's right. We help each other because it feels good. That's the best reason of all.
Yeah.
But he talked about not doing evil. And you'd think in any book called the Satanic Bible, that's going to be the place where you get your go ahead and do it, the sort of thing. But he talked about don't do it because what you send out comes back at you tenfold. And so I started doing research. And the same thing with karma. The same thing is mentioned in the Christian, the King James Bible. It's also mentioned in Wiccan. You know, do others no harm. You know, there's just like almost every major religion has something on send positive out, you'll get positive back. And the flip side is, of course, you send the bad stuff out, you're going to get it. And to me, it's like one of the, you know, originally my book publishing was called Freelance Words because I didn't know what the hell I'd be doing. And so I kind of made it this all encompassing thing. But then about 2016 or so, I started hearing the quote from John F. Kennedy that Carl mentioned, that a rising tide raises all ships. And I realized how many positive things had been done for me with no hope of reciprocation.
Yeah.
And when I would do the same thing, blessings came back, if you will. And so I made it the new name for my publishing outfit, and I started, you know, making it part of my personal philosophy more often than not. And then, you know, then I always found that, you know, like last year, I had an explosion in my YouTube viewership, and I'm looking around at, you know, other people who didn't get the numbers I did, and I, you know, still puzzled as to why I did. But you know, it's like, well, look at these other people. You know, look at Willow's show, look at Ted's, look at, you know, Joe's, everybody's, Amy. You know, Amy's doing some good stuff here. You got to watch this stuff. And you know, I'm just hoping to bring everybody up to a higher level. You know, and the one thing we have in common with this is, you know, I think a certain purity of and clarity of purpose. You know, whether it is showing people science or having crazy conversations in the morning or in the late evening, or talking about how wonderful cigars can be and why, or, you know, how we put our books together, what have you. And you know, when Joe Dog came to me about 3 or 4 weeks ago and said he was going to start a show that was like kind of like Nevermind the Furthermore, and asked if he could be, you know, say that he was part of a network, and it's something I'd been thinking about, but I thought it was a little bit of hubris on my part to call this, you know, here's my statement. But when Joe Dog brought that up, I said, no, let's call it the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. You know, then Ted said he wanted in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Carl, and I asked Amy because I knew, you know, she had the right spirit and the right stuff. And, you know, again, you know, and thank you as always. I thank you every day, Willow, that, you know, you have mentioned us and our shows with the
you know,
network.
I enjoy doing that, though. It's like I work with a different broadcast company, but you know what? I enjoy promoting you guys, and it's what I've always done. Like when I started doing internet broadcasting 14 years ago, but it was
you need to go check out those videos, because she's got videos from 12 or 14 years ago.
Yeah,
check it out. Make sure you're on your YouTube and join. Yeah, absolutely.
Block TV started off as a Canadian streaming service where people like us, whenever we had time, just turned on our webcam and hung out with people. And I met so many interesting people. I know people from all over Canada, and then it became huge in the States. And I met so many great broadcasters from the States, and it was just like we were just hanging out in each other's shows for like days. Like, you know, there was one summer where I did I'd go hang out with one of my friends during their show in the morning, and then they'd log off, and then we'd hang out with another guy, and then it just became a whole day of just hanging out with interesting people. And then it dawned on me one day, it's like, these people should you know, have their stories told. I want to get to know who these people really are. And I tried doing what I'm doing here. But, life got in the way,
Sure.
work and personal life. And then I kind of stopped broadcasting for a while, and I missed it. I missed being on blog. I missed hanging out with my friends. And, even though I say, even though I can easily make friends, it's keeping them that I have a hard time with. And for some reason, my real life friends just never hung around as much as meeting people online. And so I went back to blog, found more people to hang out with, and the rest is history. Like I just enjoy hanging out with people.
I'm the same way, and the reason we decided to do Creative as Hail the way we're doing it is I told John, I said, we know so many talented, amazing people. We need to share.
Yep, exactly.
With many people.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and we're not getting anything back out of it other than just the joy of going, man, look at what this person can do, or look what they've done, or listen to their voice, or whatever it is. Because it's just like every time I meet somebody new, I'm like, oh my God, you're amazing. Why don't more people know about you?
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to do with Creative as Hail, is just say, hey, look at this. This is fantastic. And not only do we, showcase what they do, then we ask them, if there are people that want to do what you do, what's your advice for them? How can you pay it forward by saying, listen, if you're interested in being an actor, here's what you do. If you want to learn art, here's what you do. And help inspire other people out there that want to do the same thing but are too afraid to take that first step.
Right. And that's what TED Talks is about too. It's just under the umbrella of the Rising Tide Network. It's the same idea. It's the same movement, if you want to call it that. And it's so simple. It's such a simple thing. You take a few minutes, show somebody else's talents to the world. It's so simple. And you dig it, you get it back. You do. You totally get it back. I believe that, because the intention's right. The intention's right. And I think that we do, the vibe attracts a tribe. And that's one of the things with Ted's Tribe. I'm very much into that whole idea of what you put out does come back to you in both ways.
I'm a firm believer of law of attraction.
Oh, I am too. I am too, totally.
And the more that I've tried to apply the law of attraction, the more I've seen it, happen. And it blows my mind. And of course I think, why didn't I try this years ago?
Right. Because we're conditioned not to. And it's how good do you guys? How do you guys feel right now, though? You guys feel really good, right? When you're helping each other out.
Yeah.
I know when I share something from Will, any of you guys, I feel awesome. I'm like, cool. I hope somebody sees this today that, gives a shit. Gives a shit that can help promote their name, do something, Yeah. And we were talking about, if I could take it in a second, Brian, when we're talking about numbers on YouTube and numbers on Facebook and all this other stuff, Joe Dog and all that, subscriptions are one thing on YouTube. I heard something a couple days ago that kind of eased my mind a bit, because I've been pushing YouTube so much over the course of the last year, and we've grown exponentially, but we're only at a certain number, right? They were saying that you would rather have, if you have 150 subscribers that are consistent and watch your stuff all the time, is better than having 15,000 that don't watch. And that's the way you've got to really look at it. I'm already monetized because I have a sponsor, so it's different for me. And that's the way I would suggest to everybody on your YouTube channels: get a private sponsor, get somebody that's going to sell their coffee for them, whatever. There's so many different things you can do for sponsorships. I mean, Brian will tell you. And that's really YouTube setting the standard. That's great. Awesome. That's awesome that you're monetized that way or whatever. But yeah, I think that smaller venue sponsorships are the way to go. Even if it's free coffee, or if it's free microphones or whatever, lighting, whatever. There's all different ways to do it. Go ahead, Carl. Sorry. What were you gonna say, Carl?
And you love that coffee.
I do. Absolutely.
So, see, at least you are using the company that sponsors you. Okay.
Yeah.
And you make that connection. You find somebody who you want to also lift up.
Right.
Because you're right. You're raising their boat as well.
Yes, that is true.
And getting them exposure. I never heard of that coffee company before until
I mean,
started
and
working
they're
with you.
selling coffee all over the place now. They're
Yeah.
selling it, nationwide, which is great. But they're up north. They're north of me, so it's like they're in the middle of nowhere.
I used
Anyway.
to have a really popular health blog back in my other life, and I had like Atkins was a sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
I had some really big sponsors, but I would not allow anyone to advertise with me that I did not personally use their products.
Good. Yep.
So if I couldn't say, wow, this was really good, or wow, this really helped me, or whatever, I would not let them advertise with me because I did not feel like I could do that in honesty. Recommend their product.
Yeah.
So I'm the same way with stuff I even talk about online. I'm not paid to talk about a lot of stuff, but if I use it, I'll be happy to tell people about it.
Oh yeah, seriously. Yeah, same with me and Plasma Fire Graphics.
Right. Mm-hmm. And Jeff's great.
Jeff's amazing.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he does fantastic work, and he's a wonderful guy.
I've got a preview of some of his artwork, and it is better than anything I have seen in the last 19 years of something.
It's crazy. He has some beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
And
even if
not everybody can do. I'm sorry. It's not as far as me as a traditional artist, it's just a different medium. I mean, the way the levels are completely different from what I do, and it's nice because it's not competition. That's the beauty of it, It's such a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've been finding with hanging out with you guys, doing the hanging with web stuff, I've been finding myself getting more and more creative with what I do as a hobby. I've been delving into my editing stuff again.
Good.
And and I haven't done video editing in a while, so I'm just like, okay, let's do this. And I made my own intro, which I'm gonna revamp in the next little while so that it's not loud and obnoxious, but I'm looking forward to working more with you guys and doing even possibly going more into like the video editing and producing of content.
Good. Broadening those view, it's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's not something you have to be fantastic at. Okay, I mean, and it doesn't have to be something really fancy. When Brian was doing those ads for, was it comics?
PriceGuide.com and Comics, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I recorded some audio for him for that. And if he had to go, in the middle of a show, he would run one of those. Yeah. And it was just basically a static picture with audio behind it.
Yeah.
And something like that not only gives you a break, but it also gives your viewers a break.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be like Plasma Fire Graphics does, which is fantastic.
Amazing stuff, yeah.
But if you have a show, a small show, sometimes you just want to maybe even pick a charity or something like that, do an ad for that charity, put it in the middle of your show, gives you a little break, gives your viewers a little break,
Right. Mm-hmm. So, and that was one thing too with Brian. How can I put it? You're not going to be made fun of here. There's certain things that becoming part of the group, it's kind of an elective process. I won't right behind closed doors, but it's kind of an elective process, right? Except for Amy. Sorry, Amy. But just forget what I just said. Anyway. All seriousness though, Brian, one of the things, it's kind of an elective process getting to be part of the network, but you're not put in a position. We do it with love with Amy. It's not to bring her down, or it's a heartfelt thing. But with other people, that's the other thing with what Carl was saying. I don't want you to feel like because you're trying to do something, you're trying to create something, and if it is on the dime or if it's on pennies, and you're trying to build something, we're not here to do that. there's a lot of things that you can learn from each other, mimic each
yeah.
other, bring out something, get your own shtick. But there's a definite creative, and I'm glad that you're finding some creative things, Willow. That's awesome. That's really good. I'm glad to hear
I've
that.
actually started editing my own little. I made an outro for Lunchtime at the Doghouse.
Yeah.
Great too.
Did you see the outro?
Yeah.
I don't recall if I saw it, but I know do you make your own intros or did you get someone else to make them?
For Lunchtime at the Doghouse, I made.
Okay.
All the others is Skunks.
Okay.
But at the end, but Brian, as you know, I start the show at 12:05. That's to allow people to grab their lunch at lunch break and then tune in.
Yeah.
When I sign out, it's pretty much the same intro, but right at the end, there's a big explosion of the doghouse, and it pops up. Now back to work, Cratchit.
It's hilarious. It's so funny.
Here, I made one, and I hope the sound does not come through because it's just music, it's jazz music. But hang on, I'll pull that over. Okay, that's just something I put together out of a bunch of different elements.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But you can.
That's great, man.
You can do something like that.
It will be funny for booze.
Yeah, I will be funny for booze. Yes.
That's great. Yeah,
But,
I mean, and the ones I've done the same thing. It's very low key. It's very inexpensive. The things obviously the ones I've done, they're not anything crazy, but everybody knows them now. It's like whatever, now it's have fun with it. Turn it down because it's a little loud. Turn it down. But besides that, get your attention, and that's and they might change, and that's a beautiful thing about it too.
Yeah.
We can change them up. We can do some different things to it, and
we weren't looking to monetize or make any money on our show whatsoever, and Ted and I and the cigar.
Cigar shows, yes, we are. So we are, we're opened up any sponsorships on that.
Yeah,
by the
exactly.
way.
But for that humor show, we weren't looking for any money. And we weren't looking to monetize. We just whatever. But I would tell my wife, Donna, I'd say, oh, we got a new sponsor this week. And she'd be like, and then I would have some bizarre humorous, thing like Bikinis Tokyo, where I had borrowed some video of this drunken gal trying to demonstrate different bathing suits or something and put that up on the screen. And of course, everybody thought that was hilarious. But it was not a real sponsorship, but it was something to break it up a little bit and make people laugh. And that's what they need in this day and age.
So much. I'm proud of that. That's why I started reading those books in my group.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Adult, but not adult children's books. Because they just, they're so funny. And every time I find a new one, I got to read this to the group. Just because we need a laugh break, and laughter is it really is the best medicine. And it's despite what's going on, my husband and I are laughing all the time. We got to laugh at each other. We laugh at ourselves. Yeah. If we're going to laugh at ourselves, we might as well share it with everybody else because I'm sure it's going to be embarrassing. We might as well laugh about it.
Well, I always live by the old Saturday Night Live and National Lampoon writer Michael O'Donoghue once said. He said that anybody can laugh at themselves, but it takes someone special to be able to laugh at others. So that's kind of what that's kind of how I've guided my life. And look where I am today.
You have no problem laughing at others. You're great.
I get, but I also take as well as I get.
You do. You're very good at that.
You know what? I have no problems laughing at others, but I will always laugh at myself because I do the stupidest shit. And when I'm aware that I'm doing the stupidest shit, I'm just like, what is wrong with you?
Soundtrack of my life.
The key is to do some of that on purpose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, and make people think, are they doing that on purpose or are they what? The other night I don't remember even what we were doing, but I was like stroking my beard, and all of a sudden, somebody else was in a conversation. I pull out the ruler and I put it down here. And I start measuring how long my beard has gotten, and the person that was talking was like, "What the hell is he doing?" But it broke it up, and it's
better to let them purposely think you're an idiot,
right?
Than prove it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
So I like to keep people guessing. Is she as big a moron as she seems to be? Probably, but you'll never completely know.
How does she work a camera? What is it? How does she do that? Yeah, I know. Right. Did the kids start that for her?
I every morning. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm notorious for being a giant klutz. I walk into walls. I like drop shit all the time.
Air.
Yeah, it takes a really good talent to trip upstairs.
I'm subject to gravity bursts.
Mark.
Gravity bursts.
I mean, just all of a sudden burst of gravity, and I'm on
the floor. Yeah.
How the hell did I get here? Yeah.
I just thought that the floor needed a hug.
Right.
Oh, yeah. The spore wanted to spoon with me all of a sudden. I don't know.
All good. Gravity burst. Hashtag gravity burst.
That's
Okay.
a good one, yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Everybody write it down.
Yep.
We were talking about like openings and such, and using things for commercials. And I see people are talking about what they do on their shows and such. You don't want to oversell your show too much. Mm-hmm. I saw one very recently, and oh my God, I thought The Second Coming was on its way, because this show, I mean, there's explosions, there's a train track, an actual train wreck with this train. There's all kinds of grandiose music and all. And then when it ends, there's a guy in a food hat in his closet talking. I'm like, was this what?
Most monotone voice ever.
Yeah. Hi, welcome to my show. I'm going to talk about Mattel Hot Wheels today. Here is a model I got in 1972. Let me tell you where I found it.
Oh my God.
So I thought, your show opening was fantastic, but your show sucks. I'm sorry, dude. You know,
well, it wasn't my show you were talking about. I was worried it was about that talking.
You have some inflection there, Ted.
Yeah, I guess. Man, okay.
I'll be nice.
I just got through saying you're not going to be judged if you become part of this network if you're elected.
Don't be so sure. Don't be so sure. Well, you see, that's the thing. One of the reasons why I'm so proud to be with you guys and gals is that, there are standards here.
Somewhat,
a little, minimal in some cases.
But I haven't talked about that other show.
I won't. Brian, I didn't get that memo. I'm sorry.
Brian, are you still trying to push having wow, that
yeah.
I am, and I'm just saying
class. Are you still trying to push, class and
oh no. I'm not
because I don't say, if this is still what you're going for, I need to back out now while I can.
Well, hell, I quit then if that's the case. No. It's like you see everyone here, everyone in all these little squares. There's decent lighting. Then we're all properly framed. There's interesting backgrounds. Okay. I see some guy who has their phone. Let's say it's your phone, and they put it on their lap with the window behind them. And there's kind of slouch
silhouette.
Yeah,
and it's like there is a reason why the vast majority, there's like probably hundreds of thousands of channels on YouTube, and yet most of them probably don't have like 10 subscriptions among them. Yeah. So there is a reason for it. I kind of seek out people for Clever Title Pending that know their way around a camera to a degree. And I'm not saying you have to be, the next Francis Ford Coppola when you're in front of the camera, and your delivery can't be like a talk show host or anything like on the late nights or all that. But at least look engaged. Do it long. Do it widescreen instead of portraits.
6:9. Try to.
We all make mistakes when we're starting off.
Right.
Anyway, but I mean, my point was, don't oversell your show.
Yeah.
If you want to have a Hot Wheels show or what was that, Fun with Stamps that they used to do on the Big Bang Theory? Do that.
Fun with Flags.
Yeah,
Oh
Fun
my
with
God.
Flags. Thank you.
Yeah.
I like
Do
Fun with
that.
Stamps, man. I think we're gonna do that show next. Ted
Oh,
Talks
hey,
Stamps. Yeah.
Ted,
Ted Talks Tramp Stamps. Tramp Stamps. That's
let-
it. I'm writing it
let's
down.
talk cigars and
Here's
stamps.
some tramp stamps that we do, right?
We got some. We got
100,000 subscribers in a week. There you go.
Yeah.
Great.
24 hours any minute now.
But the tramp has to be the tramp set has to be on a guy, right?
Well, we'll find them anywhere on the internet, Ted. We'll find them anywhere on the internet, and it'll be Carl and Ted will judge your tramp stamp.
There you go.
I'm sorry.
Oh my
I'm going to
God.
give you a 4.
No, and then we have to guess if it's a guy or a girl. That's what it is. That's the
What I
trick.
was looking for was dignity, and it just left.
Yeah.
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 Dignity. Always
Yeah.
dignity.
The last train to dignity left a while ago. Sorry.
Well, Brian, what you're
I
talking
didn't-
about,
Okay.
the working around the camera. If you've not noticed the evolution of my studio,
Yeah, worked very well. Yeah.
Yeah, good example.
Got rid of the dead bodies. That's good, man.
Yeah.
Real good.
Now we're trying to get to his tears running down his face.
I'm
Yeah,
just,
but,
you know,
my
Joe, I'm
background
just I'm teasing. It looks great, dude.
Yeah.
Just teasing it.
That's not great. Look at my background.
Pop culture
of course,
crap.
I like the little thing to prove that I'm actually talking.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yeah. That when I see that when I'm doing my solo show and I look up and look at the screen, I realize that thing's not moving. I'm going, oh, I got to say something. Okay.
I try to have some cross options for people that they're in a group. That's one thing that I try to do when we're interviewing. If I've got your material or that, I always try to put them on the shelf. So you try to promote as best as you can and what you have too. I mean, that's a big thing. Some people are doing it, and they don't have a whole lot of cash to do it, and I get it, and that's completely cool. So just try to. We all say it, and we're just joking, but try to do the best you can with what you have.
Absolutely.
Even if it's a lamp, trying to create
Yeah,
the
get-
lighting.
Yeah.
Go on YouTube and search for all the different
Don't
things
let
that
the
they've
lack,
got.
don't
What's
let
that?
the lack of resources keep you from trying.
Right, because you won't.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. Don't be afraid to do it, because that's not what it's about. Go to YouTube, educate yourself. There's so much, especially at Ted Davies Artistry.
See, we're raising other people's ships now.
Right.
There we go.
And,
Well,
and I would have recommended a Street Code YouTube channel. Video.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
You're
right.
gonna have me on your show in a couple in about half an hour, and are you ready for this?
Mark asked a while ago. It's 7 inches. The beard. And well, okay. Draw
Good
your own
night,
conclusion.
everybody. That's where I would have played.
And that's a wrap. Okay.
it's not my fault. This one is not my fault.
Yeah, it is.
You know what? There's certain things we cannot rise. I'm so sorry, Carl. Man.
You said a mountain, Carl.
Oh.
I can't speak to that. Sorry.
On that note,
Now, honestly, I really wish I had simulcast this over because I would have pulled up my little thing. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, that's right.
No,
Oh, man.
I can't.
I see a new
Yeah,
network
that's
motto
right.
in the works.
Anyway.
But yeah, well, I guess this is a great note to end on.
Yeah, please control, Willow. This ought to be good.
Willow, pull up Mark's next comment that he just put down there.
Oh my God.
Mark, if you think this is wild, tune into my show Thursdays at 9 o'clock or Saturdays at 11 o'clock. If you think this is wild, you will definitely be going, what the hell are they talking about? Because I'm going to tell you right now, we don't know what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And by the end of the show, we're wondering, how the hell did we talk about that?
And what's the name of that show?
Stupid O'Clock.
Stupid o'clock.
Stupid o'clock, yes.
Raise that
Uh,
kid. Oh,
but,
yeah.
You know what? You guys are always fun to hang out with and chat with, and we talk about a whole lot of stupid shit when we're together, and I love it. But we'll definitely have to have another conversation soon. Definitely we'll have to have you guys on my show again. You guys are a blast. Carl, where can we find you on the internet?
Well, I am on Facebook and on YouTube through Ted's show on Ted Davies Artistry on YouTube, and that's the Cigar Show. And if anybody's really interested, friend me on Facebook and ask to go into Uncle Carl's secret humor group. Don't be offendable, okay? If you're offendable easily, don't bother. And then the new show we're starting, Ted and Carl judge tramp stamps. I don't know when that starts.
It's a brilliant, it's $1 million idea, dude.
I've seen the advertising dollars.
Oh, I can't. Yeah, I can just. Yeah, it's.
I think it'd be a hit.
We might have to shoot it in another country, but we'll make it work. We'll make it work. It's not that far. We'll figure it out.
Ted, where can we find you online?
Anywhere TedDaviesArtistry.com is where it's kind of a one-stop shop. But if you go to YouTube, Ted Davies Artistry, and TED Talks is on Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m., where we do interviews and we talk about a lot of different things. I go through a lot of different how to build business the way I do it, and how we build different comic books to watches, you name it. I mean, there's all kinds of formats, just to things I collect, and the things I try to build happiness around me. So, and try to bring as many people as I can with me. So, but yeah, anything with Ted Davies Artistry, check it out. I'm all over the place on the internet in a good way. So.
Excellent. Joe Dog.
Hi, I'm Joe. I'm addicted to StreamYard. Sorry. If you look on Facebook for Stupid O'Clock, it'll be a black background with red letters, Stupid O'Clock. There's a Facebook group. There's a YouTube page. That it airs every Thursday night at 9 p.m., Saturday at 11 p.m. And following those on my Joe McKeel page, my personal page, is the Stupid After Show, which is another hour of what the hell did they just talk about. Then Tuesdays and Thursdays at 12:05 p.m. all Eastern time. Sorry about that. All Eastern time, 12:05 p.m. is Lunchtime at the Doghouse, which is just me talking, flying off what the comments come in. I try to pick a few little topics. Sometimes I rant about Cheesecake Factory meatloaf. And then I also have another page called Armchair Rocket Science, where we bring a lot of space news and all that in. And we try to go live every time there's a launch of something. And sometime, from what I understand, tomorrow they're going to attempt to fly the Starship from Texas. It will be a 10-kilometer flight. So I just don't know when, but follow that page for that. And we've got another SpaceX launch on Friday.
Okay, cool. Wow. Cool.
Amy.
Like I said, I'm a StreamYard. Sorry.
Amy, where can we find you?
You can find me on authoramyhale.com. You can find me on Facebook at Author Amy Hale. If you want to join my reader group on Facebook, it's facebook.com/groups/Amy Hale's Angels. And if you want to join us, we do a lot of different stuff in that group. And going back on Monday nights again, starting hopefully tomorrow night, we're going to start doing books, booze, and a Halo conversation again with me, sometimes my husband. And if you want to join, I will probably tomorrow night around 6 or 7 o'clock, I got to set the time, be reading a dirty children's book. Yay. Let's see. And then you can also follow me on Twitter at Author Amy Hale, Instagram, Author Amy Hale. I could not begin to tell you what my YouTube thing is because it's a bunch of numbers and letters, but you can find it on my website for it. But I'm pretty much author Amy Hale everywhere.
Yep.
So,
and she'll be author Amy Hale on TED Talks on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. this week. So.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Make sure you see the human side of the Amy.
Whatever that is.
And I just got
10,000 subscribers. Okay, yeah.
And then I've got Creative as Hale. That's right now. It's going to be bi-monthly on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. on my author Amy Hale fan page on Facebook, and we're also, assuming that I can get it to work, it's also going to be on YouTube.
Awesome.
Okay.
We'll work on it, Amy. We'll work.
Have you helped me, Brian?
Joe Dog, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I just got an update. We won't be launching Starship tomorrow. Weather is not permitting.
Okay.
It'll probably be Tuesday.
Okay. Should we plug your husband there, Amy?
Oh yeah, he had to run. my husband
He's
John.
smart.
He's smart.
Run.
Yeah, so my husband John, he helps me. He's my co-host on Creative as Hale. He's also kind of my business manager, and he helps me kind of keep my sanity, just what's left of it. So so my husband is a big part of my business, and I love having him on all my endeavors online. So you will see him with me quite a bit.
Excellent. Brian.
Hi, I'm
Last but
Christian
not least.
Hi, I'm Christian Basil, and you can find me on YouPorn. There's the next graphic. No, I'm Brian K. Morris, and Willow, thank you for having us here.
No problem.
You're the best. But anyway, if you want to find me, I'm on Amazon and Smashwords as Brian K. Morris. I'm on usually Facebook with a little bit of Twitter as Brian K. Morris. Notice how unimaginative I am with my handles. Brian K. Morris on Instagram. Now it's starting to come to the fore. Also, if you go to risingtide.pub, you can sign up for my free monthly newsletter where we have inspiration, motivation, education with every issue, and secret links you'll love. Plus, we do two shows, two different shows many times a week. Never mind the furthermore, note the sophisticated graphics. Y'all are envious, I know. Anyway, never mind the furthermore, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, where we have creative conversation. I read your comments, fall way behind. Everyone mocks me, but we have a lot of fun.
We do it because we love you.
I love you right back. And the fact that I am behind the comments is a peculiar way of showing that the show works. Anyway, because otherwise it'd just be me, and the show would be about 2 minutes long. Anyway, Clever Title pending Tuesday nights at 8 p.m., 7 p.m. Central, where we talk about creativity and the business behind it. We have many different people, such as many of the people you've seen here on this show tonight. And Willow, we got to get you on there sometime. But anyway,
absolutely.
It's a fun, interactive interview show where you can ask your questions and learn how to level up in whatever you do. And this week, we are, like I said earlier, we're going to have Lacey Lemke, who is a great short story horror writer and novelist, just published her first fantasy book. And she's got a lot of irons in the fire. Fascinating lady, and I think everyone's going to enjoy seeing her. Plus, we have a YouTube channel with over 400 subscribers. Please subscribe, like, and share. And when you see all these other guys and gals get their YouTube, please subscribe, like, and share on those two.
Yeah, and
thank you.
And go to their Facebook page, like, share everything. You know. Man, you guys are amazing. I love you all so very much. You can
Thank you, Willow.
find me.
Awesome.
Thank you. You can find me on Hanging with Web Show TV, Facebook, Instagram, all the good stuff. You can find my page, Skylar Productions, on Facebook. That's where I'm broadcasting on Facebook, as well as the Hanging with Web page. You can find me on YouTube. You can even find me on Twitch. I now figured out how to change my name on Twitch, so I'm no longer a middle-aged hairy man.
Tread lightly, dear. Tread lightly. All right.
But yes, and I am very happy to be part of the NSC Roadshow podcast tour. You guys will be able to find me on Now What in a couple of minutes,
Cool.
as well as for being a guest host. Please buy my merch. I'm on Threadless. Yeah, so this is Willow's Pillow Talk. This is what it's all about, getting to know my friends and people who I find interesting. You guys are amazing. Thank you so very much for coming tonight and being part of whatever this is.
Awesome.
So
Thank
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.